Hey guys, so in this video, I'm just going to be explaining a way that you can properly capture an exception that's thrown within an Invoke Code activity in UiPath. As you know, if an exception is thrown within a UiPath Invoke Code activity, even if you have a throw like this, the actual catch of the try and catch is not going to capture the actual exception message that's thrown in the Invoke Code. As you can see, this is an example of what the actual exception was within the Invoke Code, and this is what UiPath threw. So if you're checking your logs in Orchestrator, you're not actually going to capture that true message. So this is a way on what we can do to actually capture that original exception message and rethrow it correctly. So I'm going to delete this so we can start fresh. We're going to get our try and catch activity. What we're going to do is put in our Invoke Code. So we're just going to do a really basic code here. Let's just do int 32 equals convert dot 2 and 32. So we're intentionally creating this code to trigger an exception. So we're going to call it my string hello test. Obviously, this is going to throw an exception because we cannot convert string to int like this if we're talking alpha characters. So we're going to catch that exception. We're just going to console.writeline it. Right. Again, you'd probably think, hey, I'm catching this exception. When I throw it, this is how you rethrow in VB.NET. When you rethrow it, we should send back this same message, right? It doesn't. So that's the one part that's a pain. That's kind of the code I just showed you guys. So let's rerun it again. And we're going to see at the bottom here, yep, that the actual exception that's being thrown is not the same. We can also do a write line. So just to prove this, right? We can write down our exception.message. And we're also going to see that this exception.message is not going to be printing the correct message. It's going to be printing the generic message that does not help us at all. As you can see, it's throwing the generic message, not the original. So there's a really simple way we can do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a new variable. And I'm going to call it x invoke code. Oops. I'm going to give it a type of system.exception. Hit save. I'm going to pass it as an argument. So invoke code. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be assigning the variable with the exception itself. So instead of doing throw, what we're going to do is we're going to get that x.invoke code. We're going to assign it the actual exception that's thrown within this snippet. Right? What I'm now going to do is I'm going to put an if statement. And what I'm going to be doing in this if statement, we're going to do if x invoke code is not nothing. So we're going to do is nothing x invoke code. The reason we do this is because we're going to be checking if there is an actual exception in that variable. Does that variable even contain any information? Because it's possible my code will execute as expected and an exception isn't thrown. So we just want to always make sure that we're error checking and we're checking that there's actually a value in that variable before we go ahead and throw it. So we just do simple throw x invoke code since the variable type is a system.exception. So if I go back to my sequence, Very simple. We're just putting that exception in that exception variable. We're checking if the exception variable actually contains anything. If it does, throw the exception, which should be caught here and printed correctly. So let's go ahead and run. Let's put a breakpoint. Yep. So my code executed, throw, the input string, my string hello test was not in the correct format. So we've actually properly caught that exception. Let's do continue. As you can see, we're in the cache. Step through, print. The input string, my hello test, was not in the correct format. So this is a really simple way to properly rethrow exceptions in Invoke Code snippets within UiPath. Um, Again, it would be nice if UiPath was kind of intelligent enough to take into consideration a rethrow from an Invoke Code. But with that being said, this is a pretty simple workaround. If you guys have any better suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. All right, guys, thanks for watching.